Welcome to Meet Me at the Movies. I am Noel Manning II. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us right here on C19 TV. And if you're listening to us online through that podcast, that is from WGWG.org. Hey, how are you guys? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Noel Manning. Yes. that is Kathryn Manning to my right. Kathryn, how the heck are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. That is the Critics' Choice Scholar. We also have Mr. Engelbert Humperdinck right over there. Engelbert.
Who loves you, baby? No, that's Telly Savalas. He called me button in my shirt. It's not that kind of channel.
Engelbert really sang the love songs. He sang a lot of great love songs, and so that's why.
I'm a hopeless romantic.
Yeah, you are. You are.
He has better sideburns.
He has a great sideburns. Yeah. My mom was a huge Engelbert Humperdinck fan, and so that's why we.
Now my mom was crazy about Tom Jones.
Really?
Yeah, maybe he still is.
Ah.
Yeah.
Dr. Tom
Probably
Jones,
still
the
is.
biology professor.
Biology professor.
Yeah, that's the one.
I can see him. He's a man of many talents.
He is a man of many talents. Kathryn Manning, Greg Tillman over there, of course. I'm Noel Manning II. The Tim Cam. Let's go to the Tim Cam. Who's back there with you? Look at
you
that.
forgot him last week. You didn't get him till the bottom of the show.
I know, Tim.
And I heard a lot about it since then, too.
I know. There's Christian Jessup, and then looks like the Thing from Addams Family.
That's Miranda.
Is that Miranda? Miranda the intern. Hey, Miranda, how are you? Good to see you. Welcome back. Welcome back. Special show. We did talk about Engelbert Humperdinck, kind of leading into music, movies, and love. This is the Love is in the Air special, Volume 1. We're going to talk
Subtitle, this should have been on 2 weeks ago before Valentine's, but okay.
Yeah, this show should have aired during Valentine's Day, but it did not. So we can air this anytime we want to when you just want to, feel like there's somebody you just want to connect with, whether it's a mom or a dad. Or
Love is eternal.
Love is eternal.
It knows no date.
It knows no date. Keep
Which means we can run this more than once.
That's exactly right. Yeah, Love is in the Air, Volume 1. So we're going to talk about some of our favorite romantic comedies. And some of these may surprise you that they actually show up in the romantic comedy category. We'll just have to see. If it surprises you, email us at info@c19.tv and say, whoa, that surprised me. And we will mention your name on the air, maybe. Kathryn, you're here for the first half of the show. Then we're going to bring in that guy back on the Tim Cam. Christian Jessup's going to come share some of his romantic comedy faves. But first, let's go to you. Throw out one of your favorite romantic comedies and give me a line or two about why.
Okay, well, one of my favorite romantic comedies is 2 Weeks' Notice. I think it's a very underrated romantic comedy. I don't hear much about it, but it stars Hugh Grant and Sandra Bullock. And I love Sandra Bullock in anything. She's my favorite. So Sandra Bullock is this environmentalist lawyer. I mean, she is all about the environment, preserving historical locations in her town. And then Hugh Grant stars as the head of Wade Corporations, and he is very against all of that. Yeah. He is not interested in any of that. And through kind of a crazy turn of events, she becomes his lawyer for his company. And so she tries to teach him, why these things are so important to her. And then he kind of teaches her how to loosen up a little bit.
Yeah, and so, with really strong romantic comedies, you're going to find these conflicting ideas, conflicting personalities, and Hugh Grant I really like. You love Hugh Grant.
I do too.
You've got a Hugh Grant film you want to talk about too.
Yeah, and I have another one I want to talk about, but I don't think I'll have time.
Well, tell me anything else to add? The character chemistry really works with the two of them.
Perfect. I mean, they just bounce off of each other perfectly.
Okay, 2 weeks notice.
I haven't seen that.
Really?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you need to see it.
You would love it.
Because you love Hugh Grant.
I do.
Well, give me a Hugh Grant film that's on your list.
Notting Hill.
About.
Near the top, yeah. Great movie. I'm not, and I know it sounds un-American, I'm not a huge Julia Roberts fan. I like her. But I can hear the sound effect now.
I know.
We just created it for you.
But she's terrific in this. She almost plays herself in a sense, or at least a similar version of herself. He runs a little bookstore in the Notting Hill section of London. She's Julia Roberts, basically.
Yeah.
And she comes in, finds a book, they hit it off, But the thing that I think that makes that special, other than their chemistry, are the supporting characters. I mean, I think they're very realistic.
I love the supporting characters
Yeah,
in that
and
movie.
one of my favorite scenes in any romantic comedy is the dinner. That, you know, it's just a lovely film,
Yeah.
and it's funny.
Yeah.
And it earns its laughs too.
Yeah, and the characters in that movie feel so real.
Yeah.
Even the quirky ones
Yeah, they
feel
do.
like somebody you would know.
Yeah, there's some extra thought put into the
Yeah.
acting and to the writing.
Yeah.
In each of those characters, I think, that makes it stand out.
Yeah, and if you're a fan of making movies or watching movies about making movies, you've got to watch Notting Hill.
Well, the press junkets.
Oh, the
really
press
funny
junket.
too.
Yeah, yeah, and actually I use, when I'm teaching film classes or film criticism classes, we talk about junkets, and I actually go to that particular scene to say,
You have a
here's an
copy of Horse
example.
and Hound with you?
Yeah, Horse and Hound, yeah, Horse and Hound magazine, absolutely. Let me throw in one. This is one that will probably really throw everybody for a loop. This goes back to 1931. The movie is called City Lights. Charlie Chaplin wrote, directed, and starred in this film. Really, his character is the little tramp. I mean, that you've seen that same kind of character in a lot of his films. But in this silent film, he falls in love with this blind flower girl who's selling flowers along the streets. And you see that he will do pretty much anything he can to obtain love. And he has a few interesting jobs that he takes on to try to get money. And in one of those jobs, he ends up boxing. And there's this iconic boxing scene.
Right.
That if you've ever seen Chaplin, it's one that always will stand out. And it perfectly shows how truly physical his comedy was, and the stunts that he performed, just brilliant. But love this movie, and the story question is really, I think, how far will you go for love? But love City Lights, and it is a romantic comedy really before, I guess, they had titles attached to them as
it
a
probably
genre.
wasn't. Yeah.
Yep. All right,
Great
Kathryn,
one.
another one on your list.
Well, you mentioned Julia Roberts, and I'm a huge fan of Julia Roberts.
I know where this is going.
I love the movie Runaway Bride with
Yeah.
Julia
Oh,
Roberts.
that's not where I thought.
Okay. Well, she has so many.
Yeah, she has a lot of good
Yeah,
ones.
true.
And I think one of your favorites is Pretty Woman,
Oh,
I'm pretty sure.
yeah,
So
That's where I thought.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
Pretty
Ding,
Woman.
ding,
Yeah,
ding.
yeah. I didn't list that today, but yeah. Yeah, I love Julia
Yeah.
Roberts films. Runaway Bride had a great soundtrack.
Oh, it did. I still listen to all of the songs all the time. Like, that's one of the main reasons that I watch it, is because of the soundtrack and how much I love it. And then also Richard Gere and Julia Roberts just have really great chemistry.
Yeah.
Even though there's an age gap there, they just made it work for me.
Yeah.
And also, the director is Gary Marshall, who is one of my favorite directors. I mean, he directed Princess Diaries, Pretty Woman, Overboard. So that kind of, I think, is just a lot of little perfect things lining up for me in that movie.
It's interesting how certain actors and actresses, they connect with these romantic comedy roles, and you'll see them doing a whole host of romantic comedies. Even though they can do other stuff, once they find that kind of niche, a lot of times they're, okay, we're going to hire you for that. And it works. And you see it work over and over and over
Hugh
again.
Grant's a good example of that.
Oh,
Matthew
absolutely.
McConaughey. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, Julia Roberts can definitely do dramas as well. I mean, you look at Erin Brockovich, you look at Mona Lisa Smile. I mean, there's a lot of films she's done that she can stretch her wings. And even in Notting Hill, while it was a romantic comedy, you saw her doing some other things as well. You
There
really
was a
saw
darker side of the character
Oh,
in
yeah.
the show business.
Yeah,
that she
absolutely.
brought out.
Yeah. Yeah, good choice. Good choice. I really like that movie as well. All right, Greg, throw one out of your list, man. Because it was like 40
I don't
films.
know. I have a long list.
You had
you've been giving me
47
grief.
films. I said, give me 5.
I'm a hopeless romantic. What can I say?
47.
But it's hard to make a good romantic comedy.
Yeah.
So when you do see a good one, it sticks with you. So you want to. So I'm going to mention one. I'm skipping around here that most people probably haven't heard of because I don't know if it was a big hit. It was Rob Reiner's second film from 1985, right after Spinal Tap and right before The Princess Bride, called The Sure Thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it was with John Cusack,
Yeah.
young John Cusack, Daphne Zuniga, I think is how you pronounce her name. She was on 90210.
She was also on One
after
Tree
that.
Hill, so
So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But Anthony Edwards, who went on to be Mark Green on ER years later, he still had his hair in The Sure Thing.
Yes.
Just a great movie. It's kind of if you've ever seen Clark Gable in It Happened One Night,
Yep.
early 30s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of a rom-com.
Yeah.
It's a teen version of that, an
Yeah.
updated version of that. And it's just a sweet movie. And during that time, there were a lot of teen sex comedies coming out.
Right.
And it could very easily be dismissed as something like that. I think the most intimate thing in it is a kiss, and that's at the end, and it means something.
Yeah.
It's just a sweet, funny film.
Yeah, well, you mentioned John Cusack, and I love John
I do too.
Cusack, and
He
is
should be a
one of-
bigger star.
Oh, I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, during the 80s, he had just a host of films that really you could call teen romantic comedies. And one of those is on my list, movies called Better Off Dead from 1985.
Which came it might have been his next movie after
Yeah, and this is a movie that is incredibly quirky. It was directed and written by Savage Steve Holland, who actually ended up doing another film right after it, right after Better Off Dead, called One Crazy Summer, which is another one of my favorites. Demi Moore was in that. But in Better Off Dead, John Cusack stars as this guy named Lane Myers, and he's just a regular guy. You know, he's in love with this girl. He's obsessed with this girl, so much so that every coat hanger has a picture of her on it. And she basically calls him and says, you know, I'm leaving you, Lane, for somebody better looking and more popular. And it reminded me of my high school days. You know, that happened to me a lot in high school.
Oh, please.
It's okay.
You're a ladies' man. Don't lie.
I don't want to think about this too much, so move on.
So, you know, it kind of follows his journey to trying to rediscover love and try to prove that he is worth it. But along the way, you see him doing these, he tries to attempt to harm himself, and every time he attempts to harm himself, things go worse than he ever expected. Some memorable characters, some really incredible scenes in this movie. Funny, quirky, creative, and Better Off Dead, definitely on my list. A bizarre film, but a unique film about family love, relationships, and French fries.
So two John Cusack films
Yeah.
in a row.
Yeah.
Oh, don't forget Say Anything.
There's
But
a
anyway,
third
That's-
one
that's
that I
later.
love.
I know, that's later. Got to
All
bring
right,
it up.
go ahead.
There's a third one, John Cusack movie on my list.
Well, go for it.
Serendipity.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's a very kind of offbeat romantic comedy, I would say, and it has John Cusack and Kate Beckinsale, and it's all about these two individuals, and Kate Beckinsale plays a woman who's very, she believes, you know, if it is meant to happen, it'll happen.
Yeah.
And so she meets John Cusack, and she says, you know what, I'm going to write my number in this book. And I believe she sold it to a bookstore, and she said, and if you find this book again with my number in it, then it's meant to be. And so it kind of follows John Cusack's story, looking for this book all over New York City, trying to find it. And so what happens is what happens. So.
Yeah, and Cusack was one of those, I agree with you, Greg, that he should have been a bigger star. He's continued to do well.
And he can do drama.
He can do drama, he can do action.
The Grifter.
Yeah, he's continued to make money, continued to make movies, but he had longevity from a romantic comedy standpoint. I mean, that was 2001, I think, or 2000.
I believe it was
2001, and so we went back from 1985 to 80. So, yeah, Cusack, great choice. Give me one more, and then we'll go to a. We'll ask Kathryn to throw out one more before we go to a break. So we'll make sure she gets her third. Oh, you got three mentions. All right, go for it. One more.
I don't know if this really counts as a romantic comedy, but I'm gonna say Groundhog Day.
Okay. All right.
Because
Yes, it was.
I guess at heart it's about learning to be a better person.
Yeah.
But also in the center of that is that the on-off, odd, start over relationship that he has because of the mechanics of the plot with Andy McDowell that Bill Murray has.
Yeah.
And again, to me, it's a little like the Sure Thing. At the end, he's truly not in lust with her; he's in love with her.
Yeah.
He knows everything about her.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just beyond sweet, I think.
Yeah.
And fulfilling, I think, in a way.
Yeah, you really are a hopeless romantic, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah.
And
There's nothing wrong with
yeah,
it.
well, yeah,
Embrace
but
it.
most people wouldn't see that in me.
Embrace it,
And they
man.
wouldn't believe it right now.
Embrace it. Yeah, embrace it. All right, Kathryn, do you want to throw one more out, or do you want to save it for volume 2?
I will save it for volume.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be coming back with more. Kathryn Manning, thanks for hanging out with us. Critics' Choice
Thanks for
Scholar,
having me.
talking about some of her favorite rom-coms. Of course, Burt Bacharach over there talking about some of his favorite rom-coms. And back in the Tim Cam, Tim is not talking about his favorite rom-coms, but he's making a list. If you see that clipboard there, he's making a list of movies he wants to talk about. So he's going to give some of those to Christian. Christian Jessup will be out right after this break right here on C19 TV's Meet Me at the Movies. Hang around.
So I sing you to sleep after the loving with a song I just wrote yesterday. And I hope you can hear what the words and the music have to say. It's so hard to explain everything that
Hi, I'm Jennifer Harrell, your host of For Your Information. I invite you to join us each month on C19 TV, where we will educate you with special guests from around the county on dogs, cats, horses, pigs, snakes, butterflies, you name it. Also, every episode we will bring you a rescue pet for the opportunity for you to adopt this pet. It could be a dog, it could be a cat. So join us each month for your information.
Hi, I'm Jackie Sibley Newton, and I'm the host of Experience Cleveland County, a show all about the Cleveland County Chamber and our community partners. It's a great place to find out about all the things there are to see and do in Cleveland County, as well as things about new industry and new businesses. Maybe you'll learn something you didn't know about your own backyard. We're seen every other week on C19. This is a broadcast service of Cleveland Community College on Spectrum Cable, but you can also view it online at c19.tv.
Dean said that pointed to his head, said they have to have a brain to do that job. Well, I can think of a lot of people that would want it. That rules them out, Dean.
That's right. I mean, he is acting like a Republican today, folks. I'm so happy.
Just acting like I've always acted, Wayne.
Yeah, but you're even a little bit more. You're thinking about making America great. I know you are. But anyway.
They're gonna put me in the movies. They're gonna make a big star out of me.
Welcome back to Meet Me at the Movies. That was
On double duty here.
Bacharach Humperdinck right there. Bacharach Humperdinck.
I tell you, we're
Yep.
smooth sailing today. Huh?
Yes, we are.
Well-oiled machine.
Meet Me at the Movies. This is the Love is in the Air edition, Volume 1. Volume 1. I am Noel Manning II, hanging out with Greg Tillman over there. And to my right, Christian Jessup. Christian Jessup, Critics' Choice Scholar. Welcome. You've got your list of romantic comedies.
Yeah,
We're
I
gonna talk
do.
about some of those.
I'm
Tim
just gonna say, I
Cam.
really like that shirt.
Thank you.
It is a nice shirt. There's Tim. It actually kind of looks like Tim's shirt, doesn't it? Colors are really different.
There we go.
But there's Tim.
He's
Tim-
got the button-up idea.
Tim is making his list.
He's
And-
dramatic too. You know.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? Catherine's hanging out with him and telling him what not to do. Is that right? Yep, keeping him straight. We got Miranda in here to help us out with some
don't know what
cameras,
she's
so we
here for.
appreciate Miranda. She's going to make sure that we are all on target. We are talking about some of our favorite rom-coms. This is Volume 1, so we'll be back with Volume 2 sometime in the next 12 years, and hope you'll stick around for that. So just email us, info@c19.tv, and we'll let you know what some of those are. All right, Christian, we've given you some of our list. I want to hear something on your list, but first, Greg is. Well, you doing okay, Greg? You okay? You all right, man?
I lost my list.
Oh my
He
gosh.
lost his
Put it
list.
where I wouldn't forget
You
it.
got it?
And,
And then you forgot it.
Yeah, it's good. It's all good. Like I said, a well-oiled machine, baby.
Yes,
That's
it
what
is.
we are here.
All right, so we're talking rom-coms. Christian, you've seen every romantic comedy ever produced.
Ever made.
That is your claim to fame. And so when I said give me 5, you actually narrowed it down, unlike Mr.
Yeah,
Tillman.
I mean,
Wait a minute, you're
I
making me
have
look
to
bad.
give a shout out to my mom. Back when I was in preschool, she taught me how to count to 5, and so I mean that really came in handy when I was making my list.
Okay,
here.
look, math is not my strong suit, so give me a break.
All right, so give me one off your list.
All right, well, I tried to pick a few non-traditional ones, so I'm going to go with Father of the Bride from 1991. You've got Steve Martin,
Yeah.
Diane Keaton, Martin Short, and I really liked this one because you've got the traditional romantic comedy, but that's kind of in the background. Really what this film focuses on is the father of the bride-to-be, and that's played by Steve Martin, and he's just hilarious. But I think what was really great about this film is it had all these comedic situations, but you never quite felt like it wasn't something that could happen in real life. It was always these scenes that it's like, well, I can totally see a father doing that if given the opportunity.
Yeah. Well, I will say, as a father of a daughter, yeah, I watched that movie with different eyes than I did when it first came out. So I remember when it first came out, back when I was working with Greg on Headline News.
You dressing?
The night before I was to get married, I did like kind of a take 5. I did 5 films relating to brides, and I dressed as a bride.
Yeah.
And Father of the Bride
was lovely too, by the way.
Can we pull up some old footage for the show?
Actually, we probably
have that. But Father of the Bride was on that list as a favorite bride film. So was The Bride of Frankenstein, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, that's a good choice. I think Steve Martin has done some great romantic comedies. There's one that's not on my list, but it's on yours. I think
it's one of those on my list, but I didn't. I was going to save it.
Okay, you'll save it. But there's a.
By the way, the original Father of the Bride with Spencer Tracy is very good too.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. I don't think I've seen that one.
Wait a minute. So you haven't seen every romantic comedy?
I haven't. Wow.
Okay. All right. So we have
secrets revealed on show.
Secrets revealed. All right. Give me one that is on your list, Mr. Tillman.
Oh, well, I have a lot on my list. You can't do a show like this without having When Harry Met Sally.
Okay.
And that's the Citizen Kane, I think, of a romantic comedy.
Okay.
I mean, the perfect chemistry between Meg Ryan
and Billy
Crystal. And then, of course, you had Good Turns by Carrie Fisher and Bruno Kirby.
Yes.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the late Bruno Kirby. And I think the heart of that one is about...
Can you just be friends?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Noel.
Can you just be friends?
Yeah.
And another Rob Reiner film, too.
Yeah, it is. And he had a supporting role in this as well.
Yeah, very briefly.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, Rob Reiner, that was a fun film. And Meg Ryan, of course, after that, just a string of romantic comedies. And then you see her with Tom Hanks a few times as well. On my list, this goes back to 1978. Goldie Hawn is the mom of Kate Hudson. I think there's a Kate Hudson film on your list, so we'll go to you on that after that. But Goldie Hawn, Chevy Chase in a film that was really it was a romantic comedy that was one part Hitchcock, one part James Bond, and one part slapstick from the 30s and 40s. It was just really a interesting mix of different genres of filmmaking, car chases, gunfire, and listen to some of the storylines that pop up here. An assassination attempt on the Pope, a dwarf, and an albino. All those things thrown in really make for a very memorable.
That's all you could ask for in a movie.
And a fun movie-going experience. A really charming romantic comedy. Burgess Meredith co-starred along with Dudley Moore in this film, had a small role as well. But Foul Play is the name of this movie, and Goldie Hawn really made a name for herself in romantic comedies. And she hung around. She took a break for a while, came back. I guess was it last year with Amy Schumer in a film called Snatched. So Foul Play, 1978, on my list of a romantic comedy I would recommend. All right, let's talk about Kate Hudson.
Yeah, we'll talk about her actual daughter, Kate Hudson, and Matthew McConaughey star in one of my favorite films, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. And it's really just a great story. I love how unique it is, where a female played by Kate Hudson works for this magazine company, and her big break-in story is going to be How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, where she's going to do every imaginable terrible thing that a girlfriend could ever do to drive a guy away in an attempt to help girls learn the mistakes they make. And then on the other end of it, you have Matthew McConaughey, who's trying to pitch this idea because he's a salesman of sorts, and he says that he can make any girl fall in love with him in 10 days. And so you just have this really great chemistry between them, kind of at odds with each other, because Kate Hudson's doing absolutely anything she can to make his life miserable, and he's doing everything he can just to be the best, sweetest boyfriend he can be. And it makes for some hilarious scenes.
Yeah, I agree with you. And McConaughey is really, really strong in romantic comedies as well. He's done quite a few of those and found success in that. And that's a movie that I think, it's not that old. What's the year? Do you have the year for that film?
Yeah, that's 03, so I mean, it's fairly recent.
And it's still one that holds up quite well. And I think Foul Play, it's different. Of course, there's some things that don't hold up, but the comedy holds up really strong in Foul Play from 1978. All right, Greg, what else is on your list?
I have no idea how I want to narrow this down.
While the crickets are churning and chirping, they're not
Churning?
They're chirping. Yeah, that's if you make cricket butter. If you make cricket butter, it's good
yum.
stuff. It's kind of like peanut butter, but it has more protein.
All right, I'm going to go with, now that everyone's truly disgusted and turned off their TV, I'm going to go with Doc Hollywood.
Okay.
Michael J. Fox at his most charming, I think. He wants to be a
Plastic surgeon, isn't that what
plastic
he's?
surgeon in Beverly Hills. He's driving cross country to a job that he has with ponytail George Hamilton.
Yeah.
When his car breaks down, or he has a crash or something like that, he ends up in a small southern town, and he gets stuck there. And he meets, a girl down the street, and it's really good on two levels. Their romance is very realistic. The whole thing's believable. And what I really like about it best is, frankly, let me say, I hate movies that are generally set in the South, because Southerners are always portrayed as rednecks or rubes or just plain stupid.
Yeah.
And they're not in this film. Everyone may look like they're not the
but they're the
sharpest tool in
smarter
the shed.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're very sharp. To me, I thought it was refreshing just to see a film where Southerners are not portrayed as ignorant.
Yeah, David Ogdenstiner's
Yeah,
in
he's
that.
very good. Bernard
Woody
Hughes.
Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson.
Bernard
Yeah.
Hughes. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know if it was cited as a direct influence or not, but I know when I watched Pixar's Cars, that was
No, it
immediately
was.
the first film. It was
It was,
because
yeah, we've talked about that on that Cars and Doc Hollywood really the same movie.
obviously being a college student, I saw Cars actually before I'd seen Doc Hollywood because I saw Cars as a kid, and so then like watching Doc Hollywood probably 3 or 4 years ago, I was like, this is Cars. And then I was like, wait, no, Cars is Doc Hollywood. But it's very much the same storyline. And it's that same idea, just that really sweet story of how like the small town is actually the ones that kind of have it all together compared to the big city star.
Well, I've thrown in quite a few, but I'm going to let you throw in one more because you've had two, so I'll let you throw in a third.
All right, I want to throw in Singing in the Rain. We'll have a throwback there. 1952 musical film. And to me, this is just a classic in terms of both romance and musicals. I think it's almost 70 years old now.
Wow.
And there's just so many iconic moments. You can still sing a few songs from there. I mean, mainly the song Singing in the Rain. And almost everybody immediately knows what they're talking about. And just so great. Directed and starring Gene Kelly, which I always think it's cool when someone acts and directs.
I'd forgotten that he directed that too,
And he was, the productions, a lot of stories during the production are famous, but he was running 103-degree fever when they were filming the Singing in the Rain scene.
Wow, really?
And so going back and watching that with some of the production details in mind, it's always kind of fun to see how they got that all to come together.
I love going back and looking at those production notes and checking out, okay, how much time did it take? What are the problems that they faced in doing this? Well, thanks, Christian. Christian Jessup, our Critics' Choice Scholar. Greg Tillman back there behind the camera making sure that everything happens as it should be.
Well, we'll see about that.
Tim Foster back there in the studio, and Kathryn Manning. We appreciate you guys as always. And thanks for tuning in, watching, and spending time with us. Email info@c19.tv. You can download the podcast at wgwg.org. I will leave you with a quote, as I always do. This comes from a romantic comedy, Hitch. Life is not about the amount of breath that you take in. It's the moments that take your breath away. Love that quote.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely love that quote. Till next time, I am Noel Manning II, and this has been Meet Me at the Movies. Till next time, that's a wrap.